Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It is another Premier League Aftermath video that we're bringing to you today, talking about all the weekend's action. This was meant to be yesterday, but unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, I had to push it back to today. So, another Premier League Aftermath video. We're reviewing all the games that happened across the Premier League, including, of course, Darwin Nunez's heroics at St. James's Park to help Liverpool to 3 points, a 10-man Liverpool side that is to 3 points. We're talking Rodri also being Manchester City's hero as City survive a scare against Premier League new boys Sheffield United. We've got Arsenal dropping points so early on in the season. We've got United's comeback against Nottingham Forest to talk about. We've got Brighton losing their winning start to the season by having a surprise defeat to West Ham. We've got Chelsea picking up their first win under Mauricio Pochettino and of the season, of course. Spurs seemingly going from strength to strength right now as they beat Bournemouth. We've got Villa's win against Burnley. We've got Brentford and Palace drawing 1-1. And we've got Wolves beating Everton, heaping more misery onto Sean Dyche and Everton at the beginning of this season as Gary O'Neill picks up his first victory as Wolves manager. Before we get started though, before we go into all the games, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as well for you to get involved in the comment section, get involved in the chat. Talk to me about any of the weekend's action, any of the talking points that happen, whether it be referee decisions, whether it be certain players' performances, whether great, excellent, bad, or okay. Talk to me about anything. Anything that you want to talk about would make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. So do get involved in the chat. Without further ado, we're going to begin with this video. And we're going to start with the biggest game in this round of fixtures, in my opinion, the biggest game that I called on the predictions video. And that was at St. James's Park when Newcastle took on Liverpool. It was a topsy-turvy roller coastery kind of game, wasn't it? It was an incredible game, and I'm sure for the neutral it was as well. And if you're obviously a member of one of, or a fan of one of these two clubs, I'm sure it wasn't. It was a bit uncomfortable for the most part, whether you were a Newcastle fan or a Liverpool fan. For me, obviously being a Liverpool fan, I went through a whole host of emotions throughout this game of angry, frustrated, somewhat embarrassed a little bit, and then obviously right at the end, it turned right around to being absolutely ecstatic, joyous, just an incredible game of football, which you literally did go through everything and anything possible to feel within a game of football. I thought for the first opening 20 minutes, Liverpool weren't great. They didn't seem like they were handling the pressure of the St. James's Park crowd. They were really up for it. It was very, very heated in there. And Liverpool were just lackluster. They just didn't do anything. The only bright spark they had was from Luis Diaz. And then, of course, the controversy struck. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back again, being caught out. He goes down under a challenge from Anthony Gordon, throws the ball away, gets booked for dissent. That can happen. The crowd then turns up a few more notches in terms of the atmosphere, and mere minutes, maybe even seconds later, Alexander-Arnold fouls, I think it was Gordon again, and that one definitely could have been a yellow card again, and that could have been his second yellow of the game in very quick succession and very early on in the game. And he could have been off. Now, the referee doesn't give the yellow card, and that is a talking point. That is a talking point in terms of should Trent Alexander-Arnold have been sent off? In my opinion, actually, no, I'll talk about the game and then we'll get on to it at the end. Then comes the Newcastle goal. Newcastle draw first blood. It is a pass back from Salah to Trent, and it just rolls on the Trent's foot, and Anthony Gordon's in. And Gordon finishes very well to his credit. I've been very critical of Gordon in the past. I don't quite get the hype around him. But in this game, he was very much Newcastle's best player. He was alive to everything. Everything good came through Gordon. And he gave Trent a torrid time at right back for particularly the first half. of play where he really was a constant thorn in Trent Alexander-Arnold's side. So I give him credit for that. I thought he did. I thought he was very well. He took his goal very well, as well. But again, it's another error from Trent, and it's a bit of a worry. Of course, it is. It's a bit of a worry that was to be the case. But I'll give Trent credit. He did manage to recover from this point, and he did get better. And there was a big reason for that, of course there was, which again, we'll get onto a little later as we talk about it. But again, Anthony Gordon was brilliant in this game. I'll give him credit for that. I don't like the guy. I don't rate the guy, but he basically played into Trent's weaknesses and was a constant, like I say, thorn in his side throughout the entirety of the game that he was on the pitch for. And you could really see that Newcastle lacked and lost something that Gordon provided that Harvey Barnes just didn't when obviously it came to it. Newcastle go on, they dominate. The midfield battle is being won. And then it goes from bad to worse for Liverpool. It goes from bad to worse. Virgil van Dijk is sent off for a challenge on Alexander Isak. Now, the challenge, 100% a red card, by the way. I'm not going to try and even justify why it isn't a red card. A lot of people were claiming it wasn't. A lot of people were saying it was a dodgy referee decision. It was controversial. In my opinion, it wasn't controversial. It was a definite red card. And the reason why is because, okay, it's not the most malicious tackle you're ever going to see. It's not the worst challenge you're ever going to see. But it's simply because he's the last man. That's, in my opinion, what it is. It's simply for the reason he's the last man. If you were to put a percentage on it, he probably gets more of the ball than he does the man. But because he clips the man to get the ball and because he's the last man, that's why it's a red card. If he had someone covering him behind, it's a foul. Van Dijk picks the yellow card up. We move on. But because he's the last man, he gets a red card. He does get the ball, but he also gets the man first. That's the whole point I'm making. And it is definitely a red card because of that. I can't deny that. It's not the most malicious challenge. It's not the worst challenge you'll ever see. There have probably been worse challenges over the weekend that obviously resulted in nothing. Christian Romero, for example, in the Tottenham game, which we might get onto a little later. But no. Wasn't the worst challenge, but a definite red card given where he was on the pitch. And I think it just shows that not only is maybe he lacked a yard of pace, and maybe that's come from his injury with Van Dijk, because maybe a couple of years ago, he would have maintained his run, and maybe he would have actually just beaten him to the ball. Maybe he would have just poked the ball away or whatever, rather than go for the foul. But it just shows you how casual he is still. It showed how casual he was. It showed how he's so nonchalant about it, and sometimes that's his downfall. I think he's too casual about it. I think he's too laid back when danger spots. Like, he thinks he's that good that he can just stop the danger like that instantly, but he made a mistake. I'm hoping this will be the kick up the backside that he needs, maybe to refocus and turn his attention back to how he used to defend, or maybe defend better, or adapt his defending style. But, he's had a couple of good games as Van Dijk already this season. I thought he did very well against Chelsea. I thought he was excellent against Bournemouth. And then this game comes and, he gets the red card. I don't know. I mean, a lot of us were crying out for a centre-back this season or this summer. And it doesn't look like it's going to come. We are a few days away now from the end of the transfer window, and it doesn't look like Liverpool are going to be going into the market for a centre-back, which is annoying and frustrating. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But Van Dijk sent off, like I say, I can't have any complaints about it, to be honest. The game goes on, and Liverpool are hanging in there. Liverpool have dropped a little deeper. Liverpool they're not keeping hold of possession as much, but they're still in the game. And you can still sense that with their attack, they'll, of course, have one opportunity maybe to steal something from the game. Klopp makes a couple of substitutions. He brings on Harvey Elliott. He brings on Diogo Jota. And suddenly Liverpool are pushing up the pitch again. And those substitutions, rather than they wouldn't be the substitutions that I would make, they actually worked because they helped Liverpool maintain the ball in midfield. It gave them extra energy, extra legs in that department in Harvey Elliott. And Jota was a slight outlet on that wing, and he was pushing back Kieran Trippier. And suddenly, like I say, Liverpool started to get a bit more of a foothold of the game. They were starting to get more into the game. And then the big game changer, Darwin Nunez, comes on the pitch. And he has one early attempt where his control just lets him down. And you're thinking, as frustrating as it is, maybe it's just because he's only just come on. Maybe it's just still a little bit cold. But there was no mistaking the next 10 minutes of that play. He has one attempt, his control lets him down. His second one, Botman gets in a bit of a tangle. The ball falls to him. He runs on, and he absolutely fires it into the bottom corner. And it's 1-1. It's an equaliser, and it's absolutely crazy. Liverpool have hung on in that game so much, and then they've had that one opportunity, and they've took it. And it's Darwin Nunez, a guy that last season probably would have missed that opportunity, probably would have skied it, probably would have hit it straight into the goalkeeper's hands, probably would have had it agonizingly dragged past the post. No. This time, this guy laser pinpoint into the side netting, absolutely fires it into the back of the net. Beautiful, well-taken goal, quality, lethal finish. And suddenly, it sets up an interesting finale. You know, there's like 10 minutes left. There'll probably be, with all the added time and stuff that's going on, there probably would have been another 10 minutes, possibly. It sets up for an interesting finale. And then, very similar to the first goal, Nunez strikes again, and it's 2-1. It's in the dying minutes of the game. It's played through by Salah. What a pass by... I don't think the pass by Salah actually got enough credit. It was a perfect through ball by Mohamed Salah. Had a quiet game. Had a very quiet game by all stretch of the imagination and by all means. Had a very quiet game, did Salah. But again, he's that kind of guy that in one moment can help you win a game, whether it be through scoring or whether it be through an incredible pass. His pass through was perfect, and that makes it 3 assists in a row. Obviously, he scored against Bournemouth as well, but he's made 3 assists in a row. Absolutely perfect, absolutely pinpoint from Mohamed Salah. And Nunez is through again. And similar to his first finish, this one again just fires it into the back of the net. He just knows where the goal is, knows where the goalkeeper is, and he just puts it right out of the goalkeeper's reach. Absolutely perfect from Darwin Nunez, and Liverpool go on to win the game. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think if you're Newcastle, I think you're sat there scratching your heads and wondering, how did you bottle it? Because you did bottle it. The game was in your hands. The game was there for the taking. Liverpool had 10 men for the majority of the game. You were 1-0 up for the majority of the game. You had the game in your hands, and you just didn't know how to finish it. And I'll say this as well. Liverpool had to drop deeper. They had to drop deeper, and it worked for them. Like, you saw the performance levels of the Liverpool backline in particular. They grew into the game, and Liverpool were comfortable. I thought Liverpool were very comfortable as the game went on when they dropped deeper. I thought Trent's game very much improved. I know people will say, well, it couldn't have got any worse. And yes, you are right. It couldn't have got any worse. But at the same time, his game very much improved as the Liverpool backline dropped deeper. You had Gomez, who came on from the subs bench, who had an unbelievable game. I thought he was brilliant all game. He was brilliant. And it was all helped by the defensive line dropping deeper, which I think Liverpool should do more of. I'm not saying they should always do it, but I think they should do more of it in terms of dropping deeper. And because it worked. Like I said, Trent's game improved. Gomez was unbelievable. And Liverpool were comfortable for the most part. Liverpool's midfield got more resolute and more together as the game wore on. It helped Liverpool. They got better and the defensive line was stronger. And like I said, I thought they were very comfortable. I thought they were very, very comfortable. And I thought that despite one or two chances that Newcastle had, which of course they were going to have against 10 men, they dealt with them very well. And Alisson Becker, once again proving why he's the best goalkeeper in world football. That save he made from Almiron in the first half was unbelievable, where he tips it onto the post and then just claws it out and swats it out for a corner. Absolutely unbelievable goalkeeping and unbelievable reactions from the best goalkeeper in world football, in my opinion. And of course, they rode their luck at times. Almiron hits the post, a couple of pot shots here and there from Gordon. And of course, if Harvey Barnes had been less selfish, he probably could have squared the ball to Callum Wilson, who probably would have scored. But again, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's poor decision making. Liverpool hung into the game, and like I say, looked comfortable throughout. And then I was crying out for Darwin Nunez, and I said in my pre-match predictions as well that I think Darwin Nunez could have a big say in this game because of the way that Newcastle play a high line. And as obviously the game wore on, Newcastle were in the ascendancy. Newcastle also sent blood because obviously Liverpool were down to 10 men. Liverpool struggled to hold on to the ball for longer than 5 passes or 5 seconds. And I was thinking, just go a bit long ball. Just put Darwin Nunez on. Give them an outlet. Give them this guy who can run in beyond the last defender and possibly get you something. And that's exactly what Jurgen Klopp did in the end. And again, brilliant from Klopp to adapt. Brilliant from Darwin Nunez to get on the score sheet. I'm hoping this will be Darwin's evolution, if you get it, in this Liverpool side. And I'm hoping that this will be the season he really kicks on. I backed this guy to the hills. I have really backed this guy to the hills. And I said that I can see what this guy brings. He just needs to work on a couple of things. He needs to work on his first touch, for one. He needs to work on his composure and his finishing, for 2. So them 2 things in particular he needs to work on. It's about the situation and the game plan for him, I guess you'd say. Like, I think there are some games where he would really work. In this game, I said that he'd really work in this one. I think against a team like Arsenal and Manchester City, I think he'd work in those games. Don't necessarily think he'll work against teams that are going to play a low block, maybe like a team like Everton, for example. I don't necessarily think he might work in that game. He could still be an asset. It could still be good to have as an option to come on from the bench. But I do think sometimes it's about the situation and the opponent you're up against as to when, of course, you're going to use this guy. But I think in this game, it was a perfect time to use him. And I think that those 2 goals in particular will give him a whirlwind of confidence. So I'm hoping that this will be the season he kicks on. I'm hoping this will be the point where he kicks on. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. A massive 3 points away from home against a Newcastle side. Because let's face it, away from home last season, we were poor. Yes, we did pick up a few good results here and there. And against Newcastle was one of them in particular. Last season, but away from home we have been poor. We have been very, very poor. I'm hoping that this will slowly instill some confidence and winning mentality back into this side, and I'm hoping that this will be a good platform to build upon, not just for Darwin Nunez but for the squad itself. And again, I think if Klopp's a bit more adaptable, maybe we can drop our line deeper, because I think Trent, he is a good defender. He is. He can defend. We've seen it in the past. He can defend. But he's a better defender, and he's better with that defending style when the line's a little deeper. And he can still produce in an attacking third. He didn't have a great attacking game, admittedly, in this one, but he can still produce in attack from a deep position. He still can. Obviously, I think Liverpool probably should look at a centre-back. right-sided centre-back / right-back maybe in the final few days of the transfer window to maybe help Trent more into a midfield role, because let's face it, when he changed into that midfield role, the guy was awesome. The guy was brilliant, and it really helped the team as well. So interesting going forward in terms of that aspect. It's a bit mad that's gone a bit quiet on the Liverpool transfer front in the remaining days of this transfer window, but that's kind of how it normally does go. Liverpool pick up a couple of wins here and there, and suddenly Liverpool think, oh, we don't actually need anyone. We're all good. We're all fine. It's not necessarily how it works. So I'm a little worried that Liverpool will leave them short for the season, but ultimately on this game, very, very happy that Liverpool picked up the 3 points. An incredible game, incredible emotions, and fingers crossed for Darwin Nunez for this point going forward, that he will actually kick on from this point, and hopefully he does that. But yeah, incredible game. Like I say, for Newcastle, they'll be wondering how they lost it. A lot of questions to be asked. They'll look at the Trent Alexander-Arnold thing, and let me say on the Trent Alexander-Arnold thing, in the context of the game, he deserved to be sent off. In the context of the game, already being on a yellow card, making a stupid challenge like that, he deserved to be, again, yellow carded and obviously sent off. And when you obviously look at the Arsenal sending off on last Monday, when Tomiyasu got sent off against Crystal Palace, it was for a worse challenge. Like, it wasn't malicious or horrible or anything. It was just out of frustration. He just kind of swats him aside. It was a worse challenge from Trent than it was on Tomiyasu. And Tomiyasu obviously got a second yellow and was sent off. Trent was very, very lucky to stay on the pitch. The only thing I will defend Trent on, though, is this stupid, absolutely stupid dissent law, which has been used so inconsistently so far this season, and has only been brought in to protect referees. Trent gets a yellow card for just rolling the ball away. That's all Trent got a yellow card for. He gets pushed to the ground. The referee doesn't give a free kick in Trent's favour or in Liverpool's favour, and he just rolls the ball away, and he picks up a yellow card for dissent. If the referee does his job, he gives a free kick to Liverpool to Trent. Trent doesn't throw the ball away in frustration that he doesn't win the free kick, and therefore we resume the game. No one picks up a yellow card. Maybe Gordon could have picked up a yellow card for that foul, but no one picks up a yellow card, and we play on with the game. And Trent then doesn't have, and then the ripple effect there is maybe the Trent foul mere seconds later doesn't happen. This dissent law has been used so inconsistently because there have been a few times where other teams and other players have kicked the ball away. I think even Anthony Gordon did it moments later. I think Liverpool won a free kick and Gordon kicked the ball away, and there was nothing given. Joelinton committed about 10 different fouls in that first half and got away with it. I'm maybe exaggerating on 10, but it was a very high number for the amount of fouls, and got away with it without getting a yellow card. I just find it so inconsistent. And like I said, that's the one thing I will defend Trent on. This whole dissent thing has been brought in to protect referees even more. Do your job first, do your job properly, and then there won't be no need for dissent. There won't be no need for dissent. Trent gets pushed to the ground. It should be a free kick to Liverpool in Trent's favour. If he gives it, Trent doesn't get frustrated. He doesn't throw the ball away. And then he doesn't pick up this stupid yellow card. A rule which they use so inconsistently. So that's the only way I will defend Trent on this. But yes, in the context of the game, he probably did deserve to be sent off. But like I say, it's a stupid decision. It's a stupid law by the referees. And the referees seem to only implement the last stupid law to be brought in. But yeah. That's all I'll say on that situation. I might go more in depth in a later video about referees and how stupid they are. But that's what I will say about the whole Trent thing. They might look at that and say that Trent should have been sent off. But at the same time, they still should have gone on to win the game and see the game out. They seem to be a bit conflicted, especially in the last 20 minutes or so, whether to stick or twist, whether to kind of see the game out at 1-0 or whether to actually go for it and try and see if they can kill the game off. In the end, they went for neither and ultimately ended up paying for it. And it is a bit of a worry. I thought it was poorly managed by Eddie Howe, taking off the best player on the pitch in Anthony Gordon, taking off Sandro Tonali in midfield, who absolutely controlled that midfield for the most part and obviously had the freedom to do so with Liverpool being down to 10 men. I thought it was a poor decision making by Eddie Howe. I think he just got it wrong on this day. And to his loss is Liverpool's benefit and Jurgen Klopp's benefit. So, yeah, happy with that. But we move on. Next up, we're going to go to Bramall Lane, where Sheffield United battled and were kind of unfortunate maybe not to come away with something against Manchester City. It seemed to be an off day at the office for Manchester City and Erling Haaland, who saw his penalty hit the post and bounce out. A poor penalty by Haaland standards. And for the most part, Sheffield United stuck to their game plan and were battling hard against City and were making life a bit frustrating for them. Creating stuff up front was a bit of a challenge for them, but City were having a bit of an off day. They weren't quite clicking into gear until the second half, where Jack Grealish's ball across the face of goal was met by Haaland, who had the simplest headers to header home. Made up for his penalty miss earlier on in the game. Haaland was back on the score sheet. It looked like it was heading for a 1-0, and then in a rare Sheffield United attack, they got an equaliser. Jayden Bogle with a very well taken goal, firing past Ederson. And from there, you're thinking maybe, just maybe, the incredible is going to happen and Sheffield United are going to take something from this game. However, mere seconds after the equaliser, Kyle Walker down the right-hand side cuts it back to Phil Foden. Phil Foden, I don't know how much he knew about it, but he kind of inadvertently tees up Rodri. And again, the Spanish midfielder comes up clutch for Manchester City yet again. How many times have we said that about this defensive midfielder? Him coming up clutch for Manchester City, scoring another winner. Absolutely incredible stuff from Rodri. Brilliant by the midfielder, proving once again why he's the best defensive midfielder in the world, in my opinion. City go on and win 2-1. Look, it wasn't the best of games by City. They're still trying to find themselves into gear. And of course, they've got new players to adapt into their positions and into the squad and everything. But at the same time, they survived a bit of a scare. And that's what happens when you've obviously got quality clutch players. They come up trumps for you in the big moments and obviously in key stages of the game. And we've seen it time and time again from Man City. They have players, not just the ones that you know about and the ones that obviously are notorious for doing that in terms of like Erling Haaland and obviously in the past the likes of Ilkay Gundogan and things. But they have players in all areas that can come up clutch for you at any given time. And this time it fell to Rodri, as it did in the Champions League final and as it did a number of times in previous games where this guy from defensive midfield just comes up with big goals here and there to obviously help his team towards 3 points, towards advancing to the next round of competitions, towards winning trophies. This guy is incredible. Wasn't the best game, like I say, by any means of the imagination from City. They struggled, and they just struggle a lot in this game. It was actually a tougher and closer game than what I actually gave it credit for in my pre-match predictions. But at the same time, sometimes you just got to get through these games, and that's of course what City managed to do. Like I say, Haaland gets his goal. He'll be relieved after missing that penalty. Rodri comes up clutch. But there's enough there for Sheffield United in particular to take heart from and to take credit from. If they play like that and they can obviously try and finish off their dinner a bit more, then they may have a chance of staying up this season. There's a lot there to be happy about. They went toe-to-toe with the champions. They kept them at bay for large parts of the game, and they could have won it. They could have got something from it. They certainly could have. But just at the end, it was that final bit of quality that was, and a little bit of fortunaity, I guess you could say, that just went Man City's way. And as unfortunate as it is, City come away with 3 points, and they maintain their perfect start to the season. They are now the only side who have got 9 points from a possible 9, 3 wins from 3, and are perfect to kick off the season and their defence of their three in a row Premier League title. Could they make it 4? Only time will tell. But yeah, good win for City. I think maybe not having Guardiola on the touchline may have helped Sheffield United a little bit, but at the same time, full credit to Sheffield United. They actually battled and performed very well, and I guess you could say that they were a little unfortunate not to come away with a point at least. Next, we're going to come on to Arsenal, and they had a torrid weekend, horrible weekend. They watched all of their rivals win. They watched everybody else obtain 3 points, and they dropped points. They dropped points to Fulham in the dying stages of the game. The game got off to an absolute flyer from Fulham, who within the opening minute managed to go 1-0 up. Andreas Pereira catching or taking advantage of a poor back pass from Bukayo Saka, caught the goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale off his line, wrong-footed the goalkeeper, and managed to fire into the back of the net. 1-0 Fulham. Bukayo Saka, though, made up for his earlier mistake by equalising from the penalty spot after Fabio Vieira was fouled in the area. Eddie Nketiah then put Arsenal in front in the second half with a very well taken goal from him. But despite going down to 10 men when Calvin Bassey was sent off, Fulham managed to equalise, and it was through Palhinha, who from a corner managed to earn Fulham a point. Big point for Fulham. Big drop by Arsenal. It's poor. It is poor from Arsenal. Like, the Ramsdale one is a mixture of, he wasn't expecting a poor pass from Bukayo Saka, so Bukayo Saka has to take more of the blame for the opening goal for Fulham. His run back was, people will say it's a poor finish and it's just a fortunate finish. I think he's done it on purpose to wrong foot the goalkeeper. I think it's very clever from Pereira. Obviously, we'll never know, and he's going to admit that he meant to do it. But if you see it, he sort of goes like he's going to try and loop it over the goalkeeper, but then he just kind of cuts it into the near post instead. I think it's a very good goal. I think he's wrong-footed the goalkeeper, and it was still poor from Ramsdale, granted, but at the same time, Bukayo Saka's back pass, I think, has to take more of the blame there. I think. I could be misreading that, but that's what I thought anyway. Let's go back into the game the way they did. I thought Fabio Vieira was excellent. Wins the penalty, sets up Nketiah. I thought Arsenal were going to go on and win the game from there because I just thought they'd see the game out. But then Palhinha comes up and Palhinha manages to earn a point. And even though Fulham were down to 10 men when Calvin Bassey got sent off for a second bookable offence, Arsenal managed to drop points from this position. And that's incredible, really. And that's amazing to see right off the bat, because this is a big drop from Arsenal. Like, it could mean nothing later on down the line. Of course it could. There might not be any need to kind of throw your toys out the prams right now. But it's a big statement to say that you were at home and you still managed to lose the game. That's big, in my opinion. That's a big drop. Of course, it's early days. Of course, there are still points to be won. Of course, there'll be a lot of comparisons to last season when Arsenal went on to take 43 points or something from their opening 48 points or something along those lines. But when you see that City come up clutch against Sheffield United, and they only just managed to beat them, but when you obviously see that City have moments where players come up clutch and win them games like that, like the way that they did, and Arsenal couldn't even hold on against 10 men, it could create a bit of a psychological effect on them. We'll obviously have to wait and see how this result plays out, but it doesn't look great. And there already seems to be some stirring in the Arsenal fan base in terms of obviously transfers that they've made this summer, in terms of obviously maybe David Raya coming in for Aaron Ramsdale is the way to go forward. Maybe Kai Havertz wasn't the ideal transfer this summer. There already seems to be some stirrings in the Arsenal fan base. I just think Arsenal may just need to monitor everything that's going on right now and just be a little bit careful because, you know, they've not, performance-wise, I don't think they've been great to start the season. I thought, you know, they were comfortable against Forest until the final 20 minutes or so. I thought against Crystal Palace, they weren't amazing. And I know the red card didn't help them, and it wasn't a red card, so of course it weren't going to help them. But again, it wasn't the most convincing of performances against Palace. This one, they got found out. So it does need to be a kick up the backside for them, and it does need to be much better going forward. Next week, they've got Manchester United, and you do worry that if they are going to be, and I think it's at Old Trafford as well, and as we know, United are better at home than they are away. And I do worry that dropping of points there, with the transfer window obviously closing a couple of days beforehand, isn't going to help Arsenal in any way, shape or form. So I do worry for them. As for Fulham, a great point to pick up in a London derby. Great point away from home against Arsenal. Brilliant point to pick up. And yeah, they move on. Like I say, I think they're going to have a mediocre season. They're not going to have as good of a season as what they did last season, I don't think. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get Raul Jimenez to start scoring goals and to be the main man to score them goals. He went close of a very good acrobatic effort. It was very unfortunate not to get something from that. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. If they do anything in the transfer window in terms of improving their goal scoring options, Raul Jimenez for me is a bit of a gamble. He needs to start scoring goals and being on the score sheet for Fulham on a more regular basis. We'll wait and see, obviously, how that goes. But yeah, a good point for Fulham. Poor performance and poor result from Arsenal. Monitor the in-house debates, though. It'll be interesting to see how they go going forward. Next up, Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 2 was how it finished at Old Trafford. Forest raced away into a 2-goal lead. An absolute incredible comeback from Manchester United on this one. But Forest raced away into a 2-goal lead in the opening 5 minutes of the game. Taiwo Awoniyi winning the ball on the halfway line, charging through on goal, using some sort of mind control power, I guess you'd say, to make Andre Onana in the United goal sit down before just tapping the ball into an empty net. Willy Bolly then doubled Forest's lead with a header that I don't think he knew much about. It was a free kick. The ball fell to him on his head and he sort of directed it goalwards. I don't know. It didn't seem like he knew too much about it. But obviously it wrong-footed and caused Onana to stand still. So his header put Forest 2-0 up. But then from there, United took over. Forest couldn't hold on to the 2-goal lead. Christian Eriksen first, getting a goal back for Erik ten Hag's side. Casemiro then equalised in the second half, making up for his earlier error of probably the miss of the season in terms of heading wide from an open goal. He equalised for United in the second half, and then Bruno Fernandes from the penalty spot helped United to all 3 points after Joe Worrell was sent off for Forest. A topsy-turvy crazy game. A topsy-turvy crazy game that played out between these two. United will be having questions as to why they are so slow to start games and why Forest were able to race away into a 2-goal lead. But Forest defence, again, called into question. And we know about Forest's away record. We know that their home form easily outweighs and beats their away record. But they'll be kicking themselves for not at least getting something from this game after racing away to a 2-goal lead the way they did. For me, I called into question last week. Forest defence is weak. Forest defence is weak. I don't trust Joe Worrell. I don't trust Paul McKenna. Is it Paul McKenna? Is he the magician? I know his surname is McKenna. I don't trust McKenna. In my opinion, if this whole Brennan Johnson deal is to go through for 50 million, take that 50 million and run. Because in my opinion, I don't think Brennan Johnson is worth 50 million. So how are you getting 50 million for him? I don't actually know. But take that 50 million run with it and go and get yourself a new back line, because I don't trust Joel Worrell, I don't trust McKenna, and I think the defense is weak. I think the defense is very weak, and I think you probably should have got something from this game. Full credit to United for not letting their heads drop and for obviously bouncing back the way that they did. As frustrating as it is from obviously a rival fan, but I have to give credit where credit is due. United were great to come back, but again, there has to be question marks and there has to be an inquest into obviously why they started off so slow, why they were so poor to begin with, and why they allowed Forest within 5 minutes of the game to go ahead to a 2-goal lead. Anana's positioning was poor. Anana's, I don't know. His balance was poor. I don't know if it was like he sat him down, whether it was a fake shot or not, because it just seemed like Awoniyi was just running with the ball. He was trying to run into the empty net until he realised Rashford was there before poking home. It was a very strange goal, that one. Very strange goal. But no, like, again, Awoniyi scores, and Awoniyi is going to be the reason why, or one of the major reasons why Forest stay up, if they do stay up this season. But like I say, their defence needs to be better. Their defence needs to be more resolute and more stronger. As for United, Casemiro again comes up big when they need him. Eriksen got on the score sheet, obviously filling in for the injured Mason Mount, which was possibly a good sign for Manchester United fans that were enjoying that one, because obviously some of them are starting to already get on the back of Mason Mount early on. And Bruno Fernandes again, calm, composed from the penalty spot to obviously win them the game. There is question marks, of course, there is over defensively and over their attacking sense in the final third. It won't be like this against opposition all week. This is against Forest with a poor away record. Next week, like I said, they go to Arsenal. That could be a very intriguing game that I'm looking forward to watching. We'll wait and see on that one. But yep, good 3 points for Man United, all things considered. We'll wait and see how it goes in the future. Next up, Brighton against West Ham. Brighton lose their 100% winning record in what was, in my opinion, a bit of a shock defeat to West Ham. West Ham win this game by 3-1. James Ward-Prowse opens the scoring. Jared Bowen with a very well-taken goal doubles West Ham's lead. Mikel Antonio makes it 3-0. And Pascal Gross manages to grab back a consolation goal for Brighton. Not the entire story by any stretch of the imagination. Brighton had a large portion of the lion's share of possession. I think there was only something like 29% or something that West Ham managed to receive. But it's what you do with the ball, as they say, rather than how much you have it. Possession is only 9/10 of the law. And of course, Brighton had the lion's share of it, but couldn't get past Areola in the West Ham goal. He managed to produce some great saves to deny the likes of Evan Ferguson. Is it Evan? I can't remember his first name. I want to say Evan. His name's Ferguson anyway. To deny Ferguson from Brighton and make a couple of other great saves, I think from Gross in particular. But yeah, West Ham going from strength to strength. James Ward-Prowse opens the scoring, like I say, not from a free kick before anyone says anything. Like, it was actually from open play. Jared Bowen's goal, excellent. Like, the pass to him was pinpoint, the touch was exquisite, and the finish was delightful. It was an absolutely excellent and well-taken goal from Jared Bowen. And Mikel Antonio's goal firing to the back of the net, brilliant from him. And you do feel like if West Ham are going to have a successful season, it's going to be those two in particular, Bowen and Antonio, that are going to need to work their socks off and to come to the forefront. What we saw last year was Bowen and Antonio not really follow up on the season that they've had in previous years. And what we saw was them save up their best performances for the Europa Conference League, which in the end worked out because not only did West Ham survive, but they also, of course, obtained the Europa Conference League. So in all honesty, it did work out for them. But if they can get back to a certain level in the Premier League, they are going to be feared again. And they're going to be a team that is going to maybe challenge again for those European places. So fair credit to them for that one. thought Antonio was excellent all game. I think, of course, he gets the assist sort of for James Ward-Prowse's goal. And, of course, he gets a goal himself, following up from, obviously, him opening his goal-scoring account last week. Pascal Gross, like I say, gets a goal back. Very well taken goal from him. But yeah, it was just weird from Brighton. There was a lot of defensive mistakes from them. Going forward, they looked dangerous. Going forward, they looked like they could create opportunities. They were denied by some excellent saves by the goalkeeper. But yeah, like it was just a very strange game. It's just one of them games where possession wasn't everything, and fair play to West Ham for that. Brighton lose their 100% winning start to the season. They'll obviously have to go back to the drawing board and hope to bounce back next week. West Ham, 7 points from their opening possible 9. Again, to say that they've had a couple of tough fixtures. They had Bournemouth. They had obviously Chelsea last week. I think that's what they would have loved to have had at the beginning of this season. I think they've actually done better than what was expected of them. So fair play to David Moyes' side for that. And obviously, like I say, they'll hope that Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio can continue their fine start to the season. So we'll wait and see. From one London club winning to another London club, it was Chelsea versus Luton on Friday night's football, and Chelsea managed to get up and running under Pochettino by securing their first win of the season and their first win under their new manager, beating Luton by 3-0. Raheem Sterling on the score sheet twice. He scored a brace on the night, and Nicholas Jackson got up and running for the season with a very well-taken goal as well from him. Confidence booster. That's all this was for Chelsea. That's all I imagined it to be, and that's why I predicted Chelsea to win and win the way that they did, because this is actually one of the very few predictions this weekend that I actually got right. Chelsea winning 3-0, I predicted, and that is exactly what happened. Raheem Sterling was brilliant throughout the entirety of the game. His first goal was lovely, well taken, brilliant goal that he scored there. The second goal was, again, another well-taken one, calm, composed finish. And Nicholas Jackson's goal, I thought was very, very well taken as well. And I think that would do him the world of confidence and the world of good as well for him, because obviously, like I say, he looks a very good striker. He looks very rough around the edges. He looks very green, shall we say. But ultimately, he gets in the right positions. He's quick. He's got good build-up play. He makes a lot of good runs off the ball. It's just his finishing where he's let him down so far this season, and I think this will give him a big confidence booster. Similar to how I said with Darwin Nunez earlier on in this live stream, I think Jackson will get more goals this season, and I think this will be a good start for him. And I think it was a perfect opponent, perfect opportunity. For Luton, I don't think 3-0 tells the entirety of the story, because I will say that Luton hung in there for the most part. They had to ride out the first half, and then they slowly grew more into the game as the second half continued. Created a couple of good opportunities. I think if they just had better quality in the final third, maybe it could have been a different story. But I saw it in the first game as well. Like, they got back into the game at 2-1 in the first game. And then once that third goal came in, that was it. Luton collapsed. And it was like that again in this game, where at 1-0, Luton were growing more and more confident into the game. And then as soon as Chelsea got that second goal, it killed off Luton completely. Sterling gets that second goal, and that's it. Luton were done at that point. And you knew that Chelsea were going to go on and see out the victory. That's what I worry about with Luton. They can take a lot of positives from this game. They can take a lot of good things from this game in terms of the way they hung in there, the way they give Chelsea some food for thought at times going forward. But ultimately, in that final 20-odd minutes or so, they fell apart. They completely fell apart. And like I say, once that second goal went in, that was it. The confidence just drained from them, and they were like, right, let's go again next week. Let's just call it a day here, and we'll go again next week. So it's unfortunate for Luton. You do wonder with them where their win is going to come from. They've got West Ham next week, I think, if I remember correctly, who are, like I said earlier, in fine form. That one could be very interesting. So we'll wait and see, obviously, on that one, what happens there. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Luton. But like I say, for Chelsea, they get their season up and running. Sterling playing excellently right now. He's starting off the season very, very well. Jackson gets his first goal. That would do him the world of good and the world of confidence. Chelsea should go on from strength to strength from here. Bournemouth 0, Spurs 2 is what we're coming to next. James Maddison and Kulusevski with the goals in both halves to see out the victory for Tottenham. Interesting one, this one. Spurs are weirdly likable now. Weirdly likable. Like, they're not there yet. I think Postecoglou's done very well in the opening games, and you can sense that Spurs are excited and optimistic about the future. But the one thing I will say is that we've been here before. We've been here before the before, and we've been here before the before the before, where a new manager comes in, he starts off the season really well, and then by Christmas time, it all goes a bit pear-shaped and it all takes a bit of a nosedive. So what I will say to Spurs fans is don't get ahead of yourselves, because that is only asking for trouble. It's going well right now. I'm going to give you full credit. It looks very, very good right now. You're playing some good football again. You know, your defence looks solid. I think Van der Ven is looking a very good purchase. James Maddison has started off his Tottenham career extremely well. I think for 40 million, it's an absolute steal. And I said that throughout the summer, that I think 40 million is an absolute steal. And I can't believe no one else was watching this guy or looking at this guy to bring into their squads, because I think he will improve the large majority of squads up and down the Premier League. His goal was well taken. Sarr into him. Very, very good goal indeed. Son is still not quite there, but you can tell that he's well respected and he's a leader. So if you can get him back on firing form, I guess, you know, it could get even better for you. Richarlison is Richarlison. I'll give him credit. I'll be fair and I'll be honest. He did work hard in this one, but again, that's it. He worked hard. That's all I can say about this guy. I think it's incredible that you've picked up 7 points from a possible 9 with having 10 players on the pitch for the most part. But yeah, it's looking really good for Spurs. They're looking really, really good, and they're playing better football. They're playing some nice football. They're weirdly likable, like I say. I just think Spurs are doing very well right now. And a 2-0 win against Bournemouth. I'll give Bournemouth some credit as well. I thought Bournemouth played pretty well throughout the game. I just think, again, they lack quality in the final third. That's it, because they gave Tottenham some real food for thought as the game wore on. They just couldn't obviously get that last bit of quality to really put Tottenham to the sword or put any real pressure on them. In terms of a goal scoring outlet. But no, well taken goal from Maddison. Well worked goal to help Kulusevski open his goal scoring account for the season. Another clean sheet for Spurs, which is going to be great and going to be another positive boost for them. And yeah, 7 points from an opening 9. That is brilliant for them. Brilliant for them. And like I say, it is going well. But like I say, Spurs fans, don't get ahead of yourselves. Just don't get ahead of yourselves. It's looking great right now. It's looking really good. It's looking positive. It's looking optimistic. You can bring in a striker as well. I think you're probably set for a very good season. But don't get ahead of yourselves, because we know that Spurs are the kings of starting seasons off very well. We know that they're great, and we know that they're pretty much winning the title by November. And then December comes around, and like I say, it goes like this. Massive nosedive into the floor. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, very good result. Very good 3 points picked up here. Like I say, there are some tweaks that need to be worked on. Richarlison being one. But yeah, otherwise, very good. Very, very good result for Spurs. And like I say, it's looking optimistic and positive for Postecoglou in his early days as Tottenham manager. Burnley 1, Villa 3. Lyle Foster got the only goal for Burnley, whilst Matty Cash scored a brace from right back, and Moussa Diaby also got on the score sheet to put Burnley to the sword. Brilliant victory this from Aston Villa, making it 2 wins on the bounce for them. Incredible that they're getting goals from other areas. Matty Cash twice from the right back position, of course, and Moussa Diaby from that sort of attacking midfield role. He's starting off his Villa career very, very well. And of course, has to be, because Ollie Watkins is somewhat struggling right now in front of goal. He's getting opportunities, but he's not quite finding the back of the net so far. Going to be very interesting to see how Villa continue from this point forward. Burnley created a couple of chances, but were denied by the standing goalkeeper, whose name escapes me for Aston Villa. It wasn't Emi Martinez. He was injured. It was someone else. But yeah, I do worry for Burnley in this one. I didn't catch this one as fully, so I'm just going to have to give a sum up of this one. Villa, again, great result. They're dangerous going forward. They are very dangerous going forward, are Aston Villa. Defensively, I think they still need a bit of work on, but they're very dangerous going forward. They've got a very good squad, and they're starting to score plenty of goals as well. And that is going to be dangerous for any opposition. As for Burnley, opening 2 games, 2 losses. One was against City, so you can kind of understand this one. This one might have been there more for the taking, but a difficult start to life in the Premier League for Vincent Kompany and for Burnley. But I'm sure that they will eventually turn it around. And I think that eventually they will. I think they'll eventually turn it around, and I think they'll get used. And I think they just need that confidence of a first win under their belts to really get to that point. So we'll wait and see, obviously, what happens with Burnley. But for Villa, scoring plenty of goals, strong squad all round. Obviously, they, I think they had the Europa Conference League big triumph as well earlier on that same week. So everything's looking up for Unai Emery and for Aston Villa right now. Brentford 1, Palace 1. Kevin Schade, is that how you pronounce it? Schade, scoring a brilliant goal on his debut for Brentford. An absolutely brilliantly well taken goal. Brilliant solo effort that resulted in him firing into the back of the net. He got the ball up and running for Brentford, but in the second half, Palace hit back. They got the equaliser. Joachim Andersen with a bit of a scrappy goal, but a goal nonetheless to obviously equalise for Crystal Palace. Palace were denied anything more by terrific stops from the Brentford goalkeeper, denying the likes of Odsonne Edouard and Eze from Palace. But a fair result all around, I think. I think Brentford got a good point all round. Doesn't really benefit anyone, of course. A draw doesn't, but at the same time, I think it was beneficial for everybody. And proof that obviously Brentford can get goals, even if Mbeumo and Wissa don't. So, yeah, decent result all round. Not probably the ideal result for either side, but, Palace get a point back after obviously losing on Monday night to Arsenal. Brentford pick up another point and remain unbeaten this season. Finally, Everton 0, Wolves 1. Everton's dreadful start to the season continues. Rock bottom of the table. No points, no wins, no goals. No goals for the Toffees. Despite having a number of chances in this game, they were denied and thwarted on a number of occasions by a terrific performance from Wolves goalkeeper Jose Sarr. He made some absolutely unbelievable saves. There was one in particular, I think, in the second half where ball gets played in, and I don't remember who heads it, but someone heads it towards goal, and Sarr's backtracking, and somehow he manages to tip it from under his crossbar over the ball, over the bar and out for a corner. It was an unbelievable save, brilliant save by Jose Sarr. Wolves get the only goal of the game. Sasa Kalajic, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I just had a mini heart attack then from having to pronounce such a difficult name. I do apologize if I completely butchered it. I think it's Kalajic. With the only goal of the game, he proved to be the difference maker on the day. Wolves pick up their first victory under Gary O'Neill, and of course their first victory of the season. For Everton, it's a worry. it is a worry. They are not scoring goals. They're getting chances, but they're not scoring goals. It's a worry for them. They need to start finding the back of the net and then start picking up some points ASAP, because things can obviously move very quickly in this league. And like I say, no points, no goals in the opening 3 games is a massive, massive worry. I think eventually they will. It's only a matter of time, seemingly, before they start finding the back of the net. But for right now, it is a worry. And like I say, they are starting. They're starting off very poorly. They're starting off very poorly in this new campaign. And for me, I said that they'd be fine, and I think they will be fine in terms of survival. But it's how long you give them. It's how long you give them. Are they going to perform a madness in the final few days of the transfer window to maybe improve their attacking options? We'll wait and see. Like I say, it was unfortunate the way that they were denied. I thought Jose Sarr was inspired in this game, but at the same time, you've still got to try and find the back of the net. And at the moment, Everton are not doing that. So we'll wait and see, obviously, how this goes. We'll wait and see how that goes. But that has been the Premier League Aftermath video, talking about all the games that happened this past weekend. We'll wait and see, obviously, what happens in the next round of exciting games in the Premier League. Those have been the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What did you make of all the games that came up in this weekend's round of Premier League action, all the results, all the talking points, everything like that? I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading from you lot in terms of your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section below. So do get involved down there. Big week this week in terms of, obviously, the transfer window is going to be closing. There's another round of Premier League fixtures that's going to be upon us very, very soon. The last one, I think, before the international break. I know, brilliant. Another international break's upon us right off the bat. I hate this every year, but we have to go through it. So yeah, going to be a big week of stuff coming up in terms of transfers and everything. So that's going to be interesting to follow. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and be greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you all, like I say, on anything that I'm talking about. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League Aftermath video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Have a good day.